Hey, guys, how you doing? It's been a little bit, but guess what? We're back at it again with a nice replay analysis. We got some Zerg diamond level Zerg versus Protoss. It's gonna be great. Asian SLB, thank you for that sub. Appreciate you for the 16. Thanks for the prime. What a boss. What a legend. Thank you, dude. All right, let's see what's going on with you, Mr. Snake Man. Snaky boy. This is when you say F you to respond to that, because he's Protoss. Okay, you fucked your larva up already. Just as I do always, because this is shit that needs to be talked about every single time, because there's always somebody who doesn't know this. And I'm not saying that Snake Man may or may not know this, but in general, if you ever don't make a larva,
good luck,
hold on.
have fun, and beat him, probably.
Did you actually fuck it up? Am I crazy? I feel like you did. Yeah, you did a little bit. It wasn't as bad as I thought, though. I, for some reason, thought you didn't make a drone. But, yeah, you make your first drone. What'd you do with your drones?
Good luck, have fun.
That's fine.
And,
You split one off.
beat him,
That's fine. Like right now, you can be making a larva at 13 seconds, right? This is important as fuck, because right now you are larva capped. So every second that goes by now is you're literally losing larva. You don't generate a fourth larva, so this is fucking huge. This needs to be. This is so important. Okay, it was only 2 seconds. It wasn't as bad as I thought. I give you. It's okay-ish. Wasn't as bad as I thought. I literally thought you larva capped for like 10 seconds there for some reason. When I just passed by that, I was like, what the fuck was that? But yeah, 2 seconds is not that bad. We'll go on from there. But yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, if you have 3 larvae in the hatchery, you don't fucking generate larvae anymore. It's really bad. It's the worst thing you can do as Zerg. Which is why when you inject your hatchery as well, you gotta be really careful about spinning it right away, because letting it sit on the hatchery caps the hatchery again. And larva automation with larva inject is 2 sides of the coin that are both 50% of your larva overall. They both generate equivalent of 3 every 30. So it's super important to like not fuck up either one of those sides. Okay, overall your build's fine. 2 seconds is fine. It could be better, but it's not the end of the world. It's definitely fine. It's like you're not gonna notice it that much. As long as you don't make that shit consistently. Yeah. I would say on that, rally drone 17 and 18 initially when they're in eggs, just to a gas, and then as soon as the first one pops out, make that pool, gas, and the second one pops out, you can make your pool, or vice versa. You can make your pool, but I just go gas first. It just makes it easier. You can afford both. Because if you go for pool first, you'll have the drone sit there again like you did, but you could have made the gas. You still want gas first anyways, but you could have made the gas a lot faster. Not a huge deal again, but again, that's a second little minor slow thing you did. Like your drone was your larva was like 2 seconds behind, and now your pool gas was like 2 seconds behind. 2 to 3 seconds behind, so not ideal. It's gonna slow you down again a tad. Okay, now right here, if this is an overlord, it's not. I'm proud of you. This should be going to the gas though. I feel like you rallied too early and you fucked it up. But I think that normally you would do that, but you just accidentally fucked it up. If you're gonna rally the hatchery, make sure you don't forget to re-rally the egg to the gas, so the egg actually goes to the gas. Even though every drone that's not rallied through an egg will just go to the hatchery rally, which will go to that area there. But this is now again another mistake. This is your 3rd mistake. That's gonna slow you down again. But yeah, the fact that you're making drones though makes me happier than the fact that you fucked up your drone here. That's very fixable, but this is, I love this. You shouldn't make an overlord literally until you're like at 25 supply, because you're gonna have extra supply anyways from your natural. So I love that. Yeah, I'd like if you make an overlord now, even so, I would say I don't like that. I want you to keep making drones, and I don't even want you to make lings. The only time you should ever make lings is Zerg, by the way, for any Zerg out there. All Zergs out there, don't make fucking lings unless there's a cannon rush and you plan on pulling drones and using lings. It's the only time you should ever make lings against Protoss. Like, this fast. It's not, there's no fucking Reaper in this matchup, so you don't need to make Lings right off the bat. Like this Overlord right here, you don't even need it. Just make drones. Just queen, because look at your supply before the Overlord's even out. You're fine. This could have been a drone, and like I said, if you made Overlord at like 25, you're still not even going to supply block, and this drone would have been done 3 seconds ago, and it'd already be going to the natural to mine. Just gives you, again, more money. There's no reason not to have it. This is way too fast for your third. Way too fast for your third. You're not spending your larva if you build that right now, and you need to spend your larva. You're spending your larva, you're spending your larva, okay? And you also need to start zergling speed. So against Terran, you can get away with going third before link speed. Against Protoss, not so much. And the reason why is because Adepts are actually a fucking serious problem if you don't have link speed. They definitely can be. And also, you can, if the Protoss is really greedy, you can actually deny the Protoss's third with link speed if you have it really fast. It makes it very, like, Lings are fucking amazing once they have speed against Protoss in the early opener. So your drone, okay, so you went link speed first anyways, but do you see this shit? Same thing again. How long has the drone not been mining? Let's go back really fast and watch. This drone had not the greatest life here. So he gets a long distance batch. That was in itself like 12 seconds right there, like 15 seconds. And then he runs over to the third. And he sits. So at 2:36, this drone makes a hatchery, right? At 2:36. Go back to when he was made. This is the drone right here. At 2:36, he makes a hatchery. And you managed, like, obviously this guy should be on gas though, realistically. But let's just talk about what you did though. From 1:43 to 2:36, which is 53 seconds. Right? Yeah. You mined 5 minerals in 53 seconds with this dude. Definitely could have mined a lot more than that. Even though, yeah, like, again, he should be on gas. But even with this drone, let's say this drone was the one that was proper, right? And this drone spawns at 155. This drone could even mine like 3 rounds of minerals or like 4 rounds of minerals and then go to the third, and then you can still take your third on time. Like you're missing out on so much. The early larva plus the late gas and pool plus the lack of gas on this right here plus these drones just like not doing shit for a while. This drone specifically slowing you down like crazy. With a third, I'd like to take versus. Third, I liked versus Terran. I only recently understood that I don't need to do that versus Protoss. Do your videos. Exactly. It's because there's a Reaper. It's totally fine to do that against Terran because of the Reaper, but there's no Reaper against Protoss. So, correct. That is, I'm glad that you have connected that. That's fucking actually 100% accurate right there. The Reaper is why you hide your drone at your third versus Terran. But even then, it wouldn't even be that drone. You do it with your drone that's not the gas drone. Like, you do it like with the next drone. So this was still too early, even if it was versus Terran. Okay. And now we're going to come back to your build in a second. I love that you're making drones. That's a positive. That's a win for you there. That's definitely good. Now, watch this. We're going to talk about scouting and theory and logic. Okay? You ready? You ready to have a breakdown here? Logical breakdowns? So already we can tell what his build is, like from the opener of what is happening here. And you go, if you ask, Vibe, how do you know, huh? You fucking smart ass. How do you know what his build is? Here's how. We see a gateway and a core, and we see a core that's not done yet. Now a gateway and a core could already be done by now if you wanted to go gateway core. But the only reason why the core is not done yet is clearly because he's not prioritizing the core right after the gateway. He's prioritizing the nexus after the gateway. And the reason why Protosses do this is because going Nexus first is a guaranteed way to die to 12 pools. You literally just fucking die versus a 12 pool if you go Nexus first. Like you have, you better be a god tier Protoss to be able to hold that because you're probably just going to die. So every Protoss will usually open up gateway first because of the threat of early rushes from Zerg. And then when Zerg gets scouted by Protoss, then Protoss decides, okay, cool, we're not getting 12 pulled. Like, even if we were, now I have a gateway that's done, or like pretty much done, so I can react and be accordingly, and I can be okay here. It's just, it gives the Protoss a safe opener that is still very economical, okay? So almost every Protoss is going to go gateway first, like this. Now, the second reason why we can already tell what build this is because of the positioning of the gateway. Why is he putting his gateway in front of his natural and his core also in front of his natural? That's right, because he wants to take a third base behind this, or sorry, a natural behind this, and he wants to expand. He definitely wants to take that base. He's most likely covering the space with a wall so that he can properly do it, and he's not putting his shit right here or like way back in his main base. And he's going to do some weird ass like all in or something like that. So already, we can already tell that his build...
Oh, yeah.
Yo, Super Ninja Live, thank you for the prime, dude. Much love. We can already tell that there's a Nexus that is going to finish around the same time as the core because he went gateway, Nexus, then core. So we already know that. And you should continue to confirm it, but we can already assume that that's what's happening so far. This is important to understand this shit. Now, secondly, once again, these two buildings give you a lot of info. Now, if you don't know this as a Zerg player, I highly recommend you learn this once you're like Diamond Plus. Or Diamond Plus is like the bare minimum of this. If you don't know this though, by the time you're in Masters, 100% you need to fucking know this.
Yeah.
Yo, DMC, thank you for the prime. What's up, man? Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for the support. You should definitely know this if you're in Masters, and this is something to keep in mind and grow your scouting understanding when you're in Diamond League. This is something you should start thinking about in Diamond. Look at the core and look at the gateway and realize the fact that the core just finished right now. This is important to know this. You need to pay attention to when the core is done, and you need to be, and we're not watching the replay when you're playing the game, right? We're playing from like, take this away, take that away. It's the real game for you, right? You don't actually see things that you do see in a replay. Like, you don't see like exact info on everything. But the buildings of the core and the gateway have different animations on them when a unit, or basically when building is commencing in those buildings, when something is being researched or constructed. So we need to pay attention to that right now. You 100% should be looking at this area and keeping tabs on how long it takes this guy to activate either one of these buildings or both of these buildings. And watch this. Okay, so super fucking fast, right? That dude looked like he made that fucking, that core has been spinning super quick, and that gateway started lighting up that crystal on the top pretty fucking fast. So that means that we can already tell that this guy is not doing some super fast prioed Stargate, and it's most likely like he's going into Warp Gate right now, and he's probably either making a Stalker or an Adept right now. We don't know exactly which one it is yet, because it could be either. An Adept is usually the more aggressive option. A Stalker is usually more the defensive option, because a Stalker is better at absorbing things in the wall than an Adept is, and it also can kill the Overlord to deny scouting. An Adept, however, has mobility that doesn't need an upgrade like a Stalker does, to where he can avoid dying to Speedlings with usage of the Shade that the Adept does. So, and it also kills drones really fast. So we have an potential aggressive option and a potential defensive option. Now, is he going to chrono boost it is another question here. And so far, no. So another thing to keep in mind here, out of this gateway wall here, is that a Stalker and an Adept have the exact same build time, which is 30 seconds. And if you chrono boost it, drop that down to 20 seconds for both of them. It's the exact same. The chrono boost doesn't affect different units differently. It's the exact same. So if this guy chrono boosted it, and we know his core finished at 212, and he started these units literally like 1 second later out of these buildings, like right away, that means that at 212, so he starts at like 1 second later, like 213, add 30 to that, and now like 243, we should be seeing what pops out of this gateway. Either an Adept or a Stalker, because he didn't chrono boost it. If he did chrono boost it, it would be like at 233. It's important to know this. Now on top of that, he builds a battery, and his Nexus is finishing. So we've confirmed that our original assumption of his build is exactly what it was. We've also confirmed that he's prioritizing Gateway and Core out of his buildings in the front of his base, and then he made a battery. Now, the battery is a bit telling as to what the follow-up is probably going to be. Okay? So When someone makes a gateway in a core like this, I'm gonna give you guys some ideas here. If somebody does not make a unit out of those buildings or an upgrade, they just skip it, that is almost always going to, the chances are like 95% it is either going to be a council or a Stargate. One of those two buildings. It's like a 5% chance that it's a robo. And the reason why it's like a 5% chance is because there are some weird ass Protoss out there that just do weird shit, and that is fucking weird to go robo doing that. And here's why. If you don't prioritize gateway units and you go robo, your push is going to suck ass. Your push needs to have support with it, so you need to prioritize warp gate to have a lot of support with your robo for it to be effective. The only kind of Protoss you're really going to get that skips the fucking warp gate and the gateway unit that goes robo as well is that one-off Protoss that's like, my opener is to go for disruptor drops in your base. I just make disruptor with the prism and I fly around your mineral line and I drop fucking novas in your mineral line. Like that kind of a player. Which is really, really not common. But it does happen sometimes. Most of the time, the people who skip the upgrade on their gateway and their warp gate, like the warp gate and the gateway unit, they're usually the kind of player that's either going to go for a Stargate really fast and go for like voids or whatever, or they're the kind of player that usually is going to go for a council and probably do something self-sufficient with the council, like maybe Dark Templars. Like they really want to get that shit out ASAP. It's a sign that tells you what they're probably going to do. They're going to do something self-sufficient with that tech path alone, not hybrid with gateway support. Okay? That's usually what that means. So it's really easy to tell what people are doing. But because this guy has actually got both upgrades, now the chances of him going into a build that does need gateway support are now all back on the table, so he could do any one of all three tech paths. However, he built a fucking battery super fast, so once again, I would say this guy is probably more in line with going light on gateway and going heavier in the tech path. Why does that make sense? Because usually the only people who make fucking... We watch this in a second. If you watch this with the Overlord, we'll see it as well. I can almost highly expect... and do I expect the Diamond player to play perfect? No, I don't. But logically, if somebody prioritizes a battery this fucking fast, it's probably because they're not super confident that they're going to make enough army to defend themselves if they get attacked. So this guy's either going to be really fucking greedy and take a third base really fast, or he's going to be really greedy with his tech and not make a ton of units. Because he's probably like, I don't want to fucking die. I got to make sure I'm not going to die here. It just kind of shows you that this guy's not going to be the kind of player that's going to go for like triple gateway and go for this big ass attack himself. Probably not the case. So chances are, again, higher because of that battery that this is either going to be a council or a Stargate. Probably not a robo. Robo generally pairs with a lot of gateways. Now, your Overlord has literally about 10 seconds before it can potentially die. Now we see a Stargate, see? It makes sense, because this, and I would fully expect this guy to probably not make another unit. But if, okay, here's the thing though, right? If he makes an Adept, he's probably going to make another Adept because it's cheaper and it's aggressive and he's going to harass your drones with it. That's totally fine. But if this guy made a Stalker, there's a high chance that he'd probably just chill for a little bit and spend a lot more money on, like, making probes and making pylons and making gas and making a fucking third base and making a void ray. Shit like that. But we can already assume he was going to make either a council or a Stargate, and you've confirmed it with your Overlord. I love it. It's great. So now we know he's going Stargate plus Adept. And that battery now, again, what does that battery mean? Everything I just said, what does that battery entail? Look at that gateway. This guy could have been aggressive. He made an Adept and he chose to be defensive with an Adept. It's whatever. Not a big deal. But that's another sign that tells us what his plan is probably going to be. Okay? Now, if someone goes defensively placed gateway unit, defensively placed battery, Stargate additional, what do we think his next move is probably going to be? Defensive Stargate. What do we think his move's probably going to be? I would assume third base. So I would imagine that this guy, in about a minute from now, is going to try to take another fucking expansion. Because he is not going to be making a ton of fucking units. And tech isn't really an option here, Tofu Hunden. Because think about this for a second. Just think about this for a second. What can we tech into beyond what we've already done? It's a fucking fleet beacon. And if this guy goes 2-base fucking fleet beacon, you can't really afford that very well. It's pretty hard to get carriers off of like 30 probes. You know what I mean? Like it's expensive as fuck. So it's probably not like I'm not saying he's not going to go fleet beacon all game. He probably will eventually do that, but he's not going to rush fleet beacon in the first 3 minutes of the game or 4 minutes of the game. It's not really realistic. He's probably going to take a 3rd base and try to expand that economy with voids or something, and then go fleet beacon. But it makes sense that he's going to go for a 3rd base because he's defensive as fuck, and he's going for Stargate, which is another great option for defensively covering your base. So I would, as Zerg here, you have 2 options to deal with this. You can either out-greed it and just make a fuckload of drones and make just enough links to not take damage on your drones if he decides to attack you, which you don't really need to make because he's not making adepts anymore. Or, number 2, you make a group of lings, you make like 16 to 20 lings or something, and you attack his 3rd when he tries to take it because he's not making adepts anymore. And you deny the 3rd. Both of those are totally fine. But if you make a bunch of lings and you fucking sit there defensively in your base, that doesn't make any fucking sense, and that's awful. So understanding how to abuse Protoss and how to read Protoss is really important here. Also, your Overlord should definitely stick around just at least to see what he makes first out of the Stargate. Because if it's an Oracle, you need Spores. If it's a Void Ray, you don't need Spores. It's a Phoenix. Okay, Phoenix is the weird one that most people don't normally do. Phoenix... Also, your Overlord's... I guarantee this Overlord's going to die. You should just leave it here anyways, just to see what he makes second as well. Someone who goes for a Phoenix first, this is either going to be to go for like a charge all-in, and he wanted to just deny your scout with a cheap unit that's cheaper than a Void Ray, and make you think he's going to go Phoenix, and then you make a bunch of Spores and he shows up with a bunch of charge lots. Or he's actually going to go Phoenix, and it's important to actually see him starting another Phoenix because it's expensive as fuck to do that. So I highly recommend you just sack this Overlord by getting information rather than letting it die without any information. Because it's gonna die. Unless you have Overlord speed about to finish, this fucking thing is going to die. So you might as well get info while it dies. It's totally acceptable that it dies. But now that he's going Phoenix, you don't actually need to rush a bunch of Spores. You can, if he makes, like, once he gets to a point where he has like 3 or 4 Phoenix, you can just throw down a Spore in each mineral line and like 1 Spore in between your rally points. And then you can have Queens covering that. So that way he can't pick up your Queens and pick your Queens off. Okay, and there you go, right? The Overlord's gonna die. You actually have 2 of them here, which is really unfortunate. You don't need 2 here. You do need 2 against Terran, but against Protoss you literally only need 1. Especially if you see a Stargate, turn the fuck around immediately with your second Overlord. But it died anyways, right? And now we're blind. Did he make multiple Phoenix or no? And it would be nice if you knew that he was. And he's also chrono boosting it because you could actually know this is not a charge lot all in. But now you don't know that. Now that's on that option is on the table and you're blind. And that's a scary option as well for Protoss. Another thing that would be really good to do, take a Zergling, and whenever you see a Protoss do something like this, this is humongously beneficial for you. And the reason why is because there's a dip in his wall. You could run a Zergling right there, like right here, and then back off. And you know what that Zergling accomplishes? It sees the gas. And if there's no fucking gas and this guy opened up Stargate Phoenix, higher chance that it's a fucking charge lot all in. If there is a gas, then 0 chance, especially if he's mining it from it, like a 0 chance he's going for a charge lot all in. Vibe, I have a question. If I only have 1 Overlord to scout versus Protoss, I cannot sacrifice it at 3:30, so I have to scout his base with lings only. What? I don't understand that question at all. Why can you not sacrifice your Overlord? What's wrong with sacrificing it? It died anyways, right? Like, if it goes Stargate, the chances are high as fuck it's going to die if you don't get Overlord speed. And I don't even want you to go Overlord speed. I don't think you even need it, honestly. Especially for just, like, ladder games in Diamond. You'd be better off, because you slow yourself down by doing that, so you have to have, like, even better reactions if you get Overlord speed. You have to have, like, pristine reactions to what they're doing. Because it's a big investment. But I don't understand why you can't sacrifice an Overlord. You totally can. It's 100% acceptable. Because the info that you're getting allows you to make drones. You don't need to sacrifice a second Overlord against Protoss.
Oh.
You should be able to read what Protoss is doing based off of the first Overlord.
Thanks for always giving us some awesome content. You are the reason many of us are in a higher league than before. Thanks for contributing to the community, like always. Much love.
Thank you, dude. Shadow Vagrant, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the 17. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So your first Overlord should be able to scout what Protoss is doing straight up off the bat. It's very, very, very like. Did you see how much info we got from this wall right here? I can guarantee you this guy wants to go for a third base. Like, it's a very high chance. So you should be able to read a lot of what the Protoss is doing from your first unit, from your first Overlord. And then Lings are 100% totally viable here to scout like you are once you have speed. Totally fine. If you're like still trying to figure more shit out, that's totally fine. But a big thing about Protoss is if Protoss kills your Overlord, you at least have some info there. And we already know you're not getting all in. Without even going into his main base, I can already guarantee he's not fucking all-inning you if you scouted a second Phoenix. So unfortunately for you, you didn't yet, so you're still in the dark about that. But if you prioritize that, because your Overlord's dead anyways, right? But if you prioritize scouting the Phoenix being made after the first Phoenix and he chronoed it, you know he's not fucking doing some mineral crazy all-in to you. Because if he makes 3 Phoenix or some shit and then goes for charge lots, that timing is going to be super fucking late. Because it's way too much gas. You can't just pop that gas out of nowhere. And you also have to account for the cost of the Phoenix itself. Each Phoenix is the same as like a fucking gateway in terms of minerals. So it's not free. So we already know you're not getting all in. And you should always, this is something you're not doing that you need to be doing, always make a Roach Warren against Protoss around like 340. Always. Literally always do that. Every fucking game against Protoss, 340 to 350, fucking Roach Warren. Roach Warren, Roach Warren, Roach Warren, every time. Do not ever skip it. Ever. Because if you ever misread the Protoss and you fucking don't make a Roach Warren, you die if you don't have a Roach Warren. Like, chances are insanely high that you're going to die. Also, a Roach Warren is super fucking nice at dealing with, like, Adept Harass, which doesn't have to be an all-in, it's just Harass, but a Roach shuts that down so fucking hard. You need a Roach Warren. You're playing so fast and loose by not having one. That is scary as fuck for you. And another reason why you don't need to have a second scout against Protoss with an Overlord is, like I said before, the first one gives you a major read on the opener of the Protoss. You can tell if a Protoss is going to all-in you or not based on the fact of when they take their third base. If the Protoss has not yet started a third base by after 5 minutes, get ready to be attacked by some bullshit. Get ready. And then if you have no idea what that attack entails, it's probably because you fucking run out of his base way too fast with your Overlord and you don't know what he's doing. But if this guy doesn't take a third by 5 minutes, do you know what I'm thinking you're gonna get attacked by? You're probably gonna get attacked by a couple of Adepts and like 5 or 6 Phoenix. And if you had a couple Spores and extra Queens and like, let's say 20 Lings at that point in time, or like 12 Lings with like 4 Roaches, you would fucking crush that timing. No problem. You would fucking shit on it. But I love the fact that you're scouting the third, because there should be a probe coming to take it. So you're making spores. The timing of when you're making spores is actually fine against Phoenix, but the only thing I don't like is how you're not fucking... You have no idea what he's doing. You now know what he's doing because you just saw it with your Ling. You just saw 4 Phoenix leave his base. That, and you know, now the fact that you're making spores does make sense, but you made them blind. And if this guy was charged owning you and you made a bunch of spores, and instead of that being 4 Phoenix flying right there, if there was a fucking gateway right here with a pylon next to it, and he's like getting ready to start a bunch of zealots in the next like 10 seconds, you would just be adding into a cost right now that doesn't help at all, and you're increasing your chance to die. That's why you need to be more thorough. And you can see he's still, but I love this. So we'll drop your early scout. You kind of fucked it up a little bit, as we talked about already. But now we'll talk about what you just did. I love that you just saw the 4 Phoenix. That's great. That's a nice catch. I love that you had your Ling scouting for the third base, and now you actually got a Phoenix scout. Super good. And I love that your immediate first reaction was scout the doorway and scout the Stargate on top of that. And you just saw he's still making Phoenix, and he still has an Adept at his doorway. So what this means is chances are once again really high that he's attacking you with Phoenix only. Phoenix only. Most likely. So get ready to be harassed by Phoenix, and he's still protecting his base. You don't see any extra depths here. It's just one. There's always a chance he might be on the map with the depths already, but this might also be the first adept that's been sitting there the entire fucking game. So the fact that you have Lings ready to go is great. The fact that you're trying to spread creep is great. One thing you need to do, though, is get your fucking overlords back to your spore crawlers. Do not have them scattered in the middle of nowhere, and you really need to start a spore here. And I would highly recommend you start like one spore here, one spore here, one spore here. And the reason why is because you scouted he's still making Phoenix. So if you get spores and checkpoints of your bases, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, you can make mass drones, and your queens can like follow the line of spore and never get caught in the middle of nowhere. And every time Phoenix tries to go around your base, it's always getting punished by a spore everywhere it goes. And it's not overdoing it either, where I'm not like going like spore, 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 like 3 or 4 per base. Oh, fuck that shit. Way too much. Just one in the middle line and one in periodic checkpoints of like the rally point. So you can actually rotate your drones safely, and you can also rotate your queens safely without getting caught in the middle of nowhere and having something die without Protoss getting punished for it. Another thing you should be doing against this 100% right now is going, okay, this guy's going for Mass Phoenix. What is something that owns Mass Phoenix? Take a drone off and go take a 4th base right now. Why? You don't need, like, even though I told you to build a roach warren, you don't need roaches right now. If you did make roaches, I would accept like literally like 4 or 5 roaches and fucking stop. Just in case this guy wanted to attack you with like 5 roaches or 5 adepts or something. But you can already tell with what he's doing, he's not doing a fucking mass ground army. He's attacking you with a lot of Phoenix already. So you don't actually need a massive ground army right now. You could 100% make a fuckload of drones and take a 4th base really fast. And then make like another spore and a spore once you have creep there. There's no reason why you can't do that. Like, the fact that you're not reacting to the Phoenix at all, I don't like it at all. You saw them crossing and going to the direction of your 3rd. Absolutely should have had your queens grouped up going to your 3rd base. And you should have spore here already. The fact that you have spores here is great, but I don't know why you're just no reaction at all to this. Because now you're losing queens. And this is now starting to cripple you backwards because he's not losing Phoenix and you're losing queens, so it's giving you a reset, which fucking sucks. So you just lost 2 queens and he's growing in Phoenix Scout. You're getting fucked now. Still not the end of the world, but definitely bad. You just lost 4 queens and killed nothing. Not great. Get a spore. Get a spore. Get a spore. Rally points and main bases. Because this guy is literally going to just fucking camp this area and kill all of your drones. You don't want to have extra spores in the middle line.
Your forces are under attack.
Bad spore location. This would make sense if it was mass oracles. This doesn't make sense if it's Phoenix.
You made another queen. Nice.
You're letting him bully your terrain so much right now. And he's just going to camp the rally point. Like, he could fly up right now again and kill those drones again if he wanted to. There's nothing stopping him from doing that. So, now, let's just say it like this. We'll continue further forward now. We are now at 6 minutes. Okay? This is important to know this shit. We are now at 6 minutes. There is one thing you should absolutely be doing right now. You should be taking one Zergling and you should be checking every base on the map. Because there's only one way this Protoss has any chance economically in this game going forward, and that is if he has a proxy 3rd. If this guy has somehow snuck a probe out, like his scouting probe like just never came home and he made a nexus somewhere else, and you don't realize he's on a 3rd base right now, that is something that you should be fucking aware of. Because right now, if this guy doesn't have a 3rd base, you need to stop droning now. You need to literally make okay, not right this second, but you need to saturate your gases and then stop droning. Like, you need to fix your economy for the last round of drones you're going to make out of all your hatcheries and then fucking cool it. Because if you take a 4th base and start droning that 4th base as well, and he's going to 2-base you, you're probably going to die. And the first thing you should do, this is what you should be doing. Getting roach speed, starting double Evo and a Hydrogen. You already have a Hydrogen, which is great. Starting double Evo, not ripping drones off gas, but making more drones for your gas. Okay. Starting a 4th base, but not saturating it, and droning yourself up ASAP to 60 drones, and checking his doorway again. Because if this guy, and also, like I said, scouting the map for a proxy base, because if this guy does not have a 3rd base by 6 minutes, you should be able to be done droning by now. Very soon, if not already done. You could easily have 66 drones by 6 minutes if you didn't have to make a bunch of spores, but because you did have to make a bunch of spores for the Phoenix, it's acceptable that you'll be done droning probably by like 6:20. It's totally acceptable because Phoenix are zoned out heavily by spores. But if this guy doesn't have a 3rd by fucking 6 minutes, I fully expect there to be a Robo back here with a fucking Robo Bay now, or like 5 more gateways, and this guy, or like a 3rd Stargate with a 2nd Stargate, or fucking some shit. He could be doing something heavily more aggressive now. So this battery, for the fact that this guy wanted to go Phoenix, in a way could make more sense from earlier in the game, where this guy is going Phoenix, which is not the most effective unit right off the bat, which is why he supplements it with a battery, but this guy might just be an all-inner even though he makes a battery. Like that, you could argue that's how that makes sense from his early decision. But he is totally going to fucking attack you if he doesn't take a 3rd base. And you need to be making Roach Hydra. Roach Hydra. Okay? Like, that's where you need to be, like, going into. You don't want to be making Roach Hydra on fucking 50 drones. You want to be making it on, like, 66. Because if you cut drones early, your build is going to fall apart, and you're going to become a mess, like, just a big, fat fucking all-inner, and it's going to be bad. You're going to have a hard time going forward, and it'll be like that Zerg player that scratches his head going, why do I always lose Protoss? I'm fucking broke all day. Yeah, it's because your drones count sucks dick. It's just something that you need to be aware of. Okay?
Our army be scrapped.
So your Zergling just died at the 3rd. That's something you need to go reconfirm. And once again, the rally point is being bullied. And he's killing a queen out of range of spores because your queen's not sitting in the mineral line. So you're taking damage again. Rally point versus Phoenix is so good. The amount of spores you have is totally fine. The locations of them are awful. This spore should be there. This spore should be there. This spore should be there. Somewhere in this area. And then the spores in the middle of your mineral line are totally fine. I like those.
You made another queen.
That way he can't bully your mineral line as easy. Nice reaction by sending your links forward. Commit to it. Commit to it. Just commit to this. You should have committed to this. So you have 2 choices. Okay. Math, right? We'll do math on this. This amount of lings, you had one ling just died just now, but you had 16 lings. And 16 lings are doing they're doing 10 damage a second, okay? Because they're doing 5 damage every half second. So each ling does 10 damage a second because they have an attack speed of 0.5 at 5 damage. So if you multiply that by 2 to get to 1 second, that's 10 damage every 1 second. So if we have 16 lings doing 10 damage a second, that's 160 damage a second. This Nexus, when you showed up at it,
Your forces are under attack. Hey, Rook.
had 208 health. Okay. Now if we do the math on a Nexus has 71 second build time, and each time you build a building, it starts with 10% of its total health at 0. So you generate the remaining 90% over 71 seconds. So if you could do the math on that, what is 71 into 900? That's how much you're getting a second on the Nexus. It's definitely not 160. We don't need to know the math on that exactly to know that 71 into 900 is not 160. So that means you're killing it faster than it builds. Right? And you just killed the probe out here, and you could absolutely maximize killing this Nexus immediately right now if you wanted to. This Nexus barely has anything. You could kill this Nexus in about 3 seconds. And granted, you're going to start losing a couple lings, but I would bet you would lose, as your lings die, your DPS drops, obviously. You'd probably lose 5, maybe 6 lings, and this Nexus would be killed if not canceled. And if it's canceled early, you might lose a little bit less lings based on how early he loses how early he wants to cancel it, so he doesn't lose the investment of the Nexus. You'd probably lose anywhere between like 4 to 6 lings in this engagement here. But you would deny the third base from Protoss and waste so much fucking time for him to make him even more all-in than he already is. This is fucking starving him. But every time you back off the Nexus, you let it build up more HP, and you give it more time to now have to break it down later. So the fact that you engaged it is great. The fact that you backed off with like half your lings, I hate this. You're not microing against this. There is no micro to be had here against an Oracle. Just fucking kill it. If you have the mathematical advantage to kill it, fucking kill it. But if you don't have it, don't even try. And if you don't know the difference there, it just takes experience. And it takes understanding the numbers, which I just gave you. If you understand the number, if you can understand that this is low and this is very killable for 16 lings, then that's great. If the Nexus is already like 75% and there were 2 Oracles on this, you're never fucking killing that. 100% you'll lose all your lings and you won't even break the shields. You'll just lose all your lings and be like, well, that was not worth it. And like you're never gonna outlast the Oracle either, unless he's bad and he turns it off immediately after you disengage, and now he can't turn it back on again. Okay. Now if he turns it on again, he'll go out of energy in literally half a second. So it still worked out. I think he did it wrong, but he did it wrong as well, so it worked. And he's also picking up wings with Phoenix. Okay. You need to scout for a third, though, for sure. And I love that you're coming back. I love that you're coming back. I really want you to scout with 1 ling, though. Just 1 ling. Not all of them. Just 1 ling. Go find out if he has a third base. Chances are, he probably doesn't. And this guy probably just is not fucking spending his money very well. And he's over-investing into Phoenix. This build is, I'm not going to lie, really bad from Protoss. Going 2 base Phoenix and never taking a third base is a horrible build, because all you have to do to beat this is just make drones. That doesn't make any sense. But I love that you come back with the majority of your lings back to the third to re-deny it again. I love that. But I really want you to check for a third base, because if this was actually his 4th base, you would be fucked. Because you would, out of nowhere, the Protoss would hit you with this massive timing that you're like, wait, what? Oh, that makes sense why your third base is so fucking late with Phoenix. Where now that actually makes sense for a Phoenix build. This doesn't make any fucking sense for a Phoenix build at all. This is a terrible Phoenix build.
We evolved.
You're not spreading creep at all either. This is so important to spread creep here. I can't begin to tell you how important creep spread is versus skytoss. Like creep spread is important versus like everything, but it is so fucking important versus skytoss. It allows you to always be in position to zone out skytoss everywhere it goes, and then you stuff him into a corner and you kill him. Okay, and now you just scouted and you saw Templar, right? You just scouted and saw, all right, he's got a bunch of Templar leaving his base right now. There you go. There's your answer as to what his follow-up is. He's going for super fast storm. Now you have options here, again, to deal with this. And one of them that would be a great option that would destroy this guy, I'm not even kidding, in this particular game, would be a Baneling Nest. Also, your 4th base is way too fucking late. You should have started this 4th base when you saw 4 Phoenix flying over your Zergling. I don't know why you took so long to take a 4th base. Because he physically can't punish it. Nothing he can do can punish that. Your drone count right now is really shit for the time of the game you're at. And you didn't even lose a lot of drones. You lost 6. It's not even like he killed like 30 drones. He barely killed any drones. You didn't even overmake spores. I love the fact that you stopped at 6. That's fucking perfect versus Phoenix build. But you did not prioritize your larva at all into drones. And now you scouted that he's taking a 3rd base. And you also scouted that he's following up taking that 3rd base with Phoenix, which I'm okay with you making Hydras on, but he's following that up with a bunch of fucking AoE. I don't really like your Hydra choice anymore as much. Hydras are fine against AoE, okay? But you don't want to make them on a low economy. You are putting yourself in a position now with a low fucking economy, making Hydras, where you need to do damage, otherwise this is a wasted investment for you. I fully expect you to walk across the map and get eaten alive by storms and then go, well, I guess I'll make drones now. Which is fucking terrible. Why didn't you just make drones in the first place? Because he can't punish that. You're making bad choices. Like, order of choices is not great for you right now. You should already be at like 85 drones right now. And these Hydras should not be being made right now. You should be making drones because he can't punish it. He's Phoenix guy. Spore Queen cancels out Phoenix. I like you're taking another base, but I hate the fact that you're not saturating your base.
Evolution complete.
So, another out, like, economy is your biggest problem right now. You don't have it. Your economy sucks. And you're letting the Protoss catch up to you, even though this guy played like he's all-inning you for the last fucking 4 minutes in this game. Really not good. Another option you could have had for yourself, though, is, again, we're assuming you had a good economy here. You could have gone into a Baneling nest, gotten Baneling speed, and done a Baneling, like, spread, and engage Templars from, like, 3 different areas of Banelings. Like, and you don't have to do this during the fight, by the way. You could be like, Banelings, some of you go right there. Banelings, some of you go right there. Banelings, some of you go right there. Or, like, up here or some shit. And then all of you attack this base, like, right here. And Banelings will come in from this direction, that direction, and this direction. And this guy's going to be like, holy fuck, storm everywhere. All my Templar are going to die. And then if you zone out the Templar with a bunch of Banes, your fucking Hydras just run over Phoenix because you don't get stormed on the Hydras. And you just win. That is one option you could have done this game. Easy. Another option you could have is to legit just go into fucking, like, Hive Tech and go into, like, Ultra Hydra. That'd be another super easy way to do it because Ultras would just run the Templar over. Or you could just go Mass Hydra and try to micro it. That is also an option, but you have to micro against storms. You have to predict where he's going to storm based off where the clumps are. And as Templars walk towards a clump, pre-spread it before he storms you, and then you dodge a storm. That's how you dodge storms if you haven't waited for it to hit you yet. It's predictable where he's going to do it. Lots of options for you. All of them fucking suck, though, for you right now because your economy sucks ass. You're doing the classic problem of every Zerg player, which is, I'm going to all-in Protoss right now. You probably don't think you're all-in right now, and you're probably like, yeah, Vibe, this is not an all-in. I got 5 bases, and he's on 3. Do you, though? You've had fucking 60 drones for the last 3 minutes. This economy is terrible. It's a bad economy. Your economy sucks, and you're just massing Hydras versus AoE. You are going to run into AoE and die. Lurker Den is not a great choice. Like, I don't mind the Lurker Den, but this choice makes way more sense for economy. It doesn't make any... This choice makes no sense for a timing attack. Nothing. Nothing about this makes sense. This is not a timing attack option right here. At all. Like, it's going to take a lot of time for this to be prepared. Like, you haven't even started a hive or an infestation pit. This is going... This says, I'm going to attack you in the next 3 minutes or 4 minutes. And you're going to max out on Hydras in the next fucking 30 seconds. So you're pushing now before you get a Lurker Den. I agree with the fact that you should be pushing if you're making this much shit this fast. But you're making this push versus AoE. If this guy went either Colossus or Storm, you're fucked in this fight now. You have nothing to deal with the Templar other than you raw micro. So, and then you're doing, you just made a round of drones. You made like 9 drones or something after you moved out with this attack. Your timings of when you make your drones is really bad. You should have literally been on like 80 drones by like 6 minutes and 30 or 6 minutes and 40 seconds. You're so fucking late on drones. You're at 10 minutes and you're just now starting to make drones again. While you're like maxed on Hydras almost. So again, if this attack fails, which I highly think it will, you're actually behind now. Because your tech is stunted because your economy can't afford your tech and all of this, which is why your tech is so fucking late. And this attack, if it gets completely shit on, and you don't reset his army, he has more expensive units than you do. His units are way more expensive than yours are. So his army is actually superior to yours. Cost-wise. Not supply-wise yet. But it might not matter because AoE is pretty fucking crazy against your composition unless your micro is insane. Cost-wise, per unit, his units are more expensive. An Archon is more expensive than 2 Hydras. A Phoenix is more expensive than a Hydra. A Templar is more expensive than a Hydra. His cost to his army is actually more than yours. Especially if it grows in supply. And it probably will if when this fight fails for you, which I think it will. I fully expect your decision making here to fuck you. You're gonna get stormed like crazy. Nice. Decent micro there. You're trying to dodge a little bit of storms at least. Not great there. You ate that whole storm. Not great again. You gotta predict the Templars are gonna storm you before they storm you. So when you get stormed like he's on top of you, storm is a very burst damagey spell. It does so much damage right off the bat. And now you lost your entire army, and a lot of his expensive units retained. They stay alive. And what did you do behind that? You made a bunch of fucking lings. This is not time to make lings at all. Like you're literally playing this game like you're all in as fuck. Dude, this is awful. Your drone count is still shit. You're still under drone count and you're making mass lings. And now what are these lings going to accomplish? I think you overestimated the potential to kill him there. You're never going to kill him there. You're not respecting the potential of AoE at all. Because you have nothing to deal with AoE and you're just ramming it down his throat. You're like jumping into a wood chipper repeatedly here.
Mutation.
And then yeah, you just lost like 6 overlords in the middle of the map too, which is definitely costly.
Your forces are under attack.
And a second ago, you had like a 40 supply lead. Now you have a 14 supply lead. You have no upgrades either. Or no, just joking. You have 1-1. You do have 1-1. Gotta get some 2-2 going. You're playing this. Basically, what you're doing right now to yourself, Snake Man, is you're putting yourself on a clock. You're the one who is now. You didn't have to do this to yourself. Everything I've already said up to this point about what you should have done would have put the Protoss on the clock. But what you've done to yourself by not making drones and instead making a bunch of Hydras and a bunch of Lings and attacking and your entire army dying and not even killing his entire army, so he builds up powerful units, and then remaking this same exact army that just died again, what you are effectively doing to yourself is you are putting yourself on a clock to where you need to kill him right now or soon, otherwise you are going to die. You are not getting upgrades. Your tech is severely late. Your Lurker Den is severely late on upgrades, and you're already starting to make Lurker. These Lurkers are going to be dog shit in the next fight. Your literal priority here is just mass Hydras and mass Lings. And this is not going to win, as we just saw. It didn't win last time. And now the problem for you is going to be that the next army for Protoss isn't going to be the same army you just fought against. It's going to be even stronger because... Why? You guys just fought a second ago. He lost a bit. You lost everything. You remade the same army that just died. He grew on top of what he already had before. So now he's got more supply than he did last time. He's got a higher tech army than you, and it's stronger than it was last time, and you just died, and now you're taking the exact same thing again, and you're going to die again. Again, like the second time. Bit rough for you. Chances of this failing are very high. Okay, so he pushes a little bit. He roasts some Lings with some Storm. You back off. You're trying to find a place to counterattack with your Lings.
minerals.
Also, you have way too many lurkers. If you're fighting against a Protoss who's going skytoss with like a hybrid ground army, you want to have like literally like maybe 8 or 10 lurkers. Right now you have 14. You want to have like, I would say honestly like more like 8. Like even 10 is a bit high. Like 8 lurkers would be a lot better. You have so much lurker emphasis. And now you see what's happening there? He just threw away Phoenix. That's not like, oh, what? This Protoss sucks. That micro was bad. He just lost Phoenix? No, it's because he wants to max out on stronger units now. He's probably going carriers now. So if you have 14 lurkers and a bunch of lings versus carriers, you're going to have a really hard time.
Our army be scrapped.
I fully expect you to die again right now. You're also pushing... You keep putting yourself in a position where you feel like you have to push. You don't have to push. And you know why you feel like you have to push? Because your creep spread fucking sucks. Sorry to be blunt here, but it is what it is, right? I fucking love you, Snake Man. I appreciate you. But I'm being honest. If your creep spread was better, you don't need to push. Your creep denies expansions. And when Protoss tries to push the creep back, you defend your creep. And when you defend your creep, you know what you can have there? Static D or something like that, supporting your army. Pushing off creep in the middle of nowhere like this, not even knowing where you're going, your chance of dying here is like 90% plus. There is a chance you could win. Protoss could totally fuck it up and move command into you and then like, oh shit, oh my army's dead. But you're probably going to die. I'll give it to you. I like your decision making with your lings and lurkers while you're zoning him with your Hydra lurker here. For what it's worth, that was good decision making. That was actually good decision making because your army sucks dick at fighting what you're dealing with here, and you're making the most of it to deal with this. That's actually good. But if you remake this army after, if this fight's over, you lose a lot of units, but you kill some economy. If you fucking remake this exact army again to then fight his army again, something's going wrong there for you, and you're not fully understanding what you're up against. But for what it's worth, this is a correct way to use your army dealing with what you're encountering here, even though it's not the right army exactly to be dealing with what this is. Way too much anti-ground versus skytoss.
Our army be scrambled. Stuff got better. Your forces are under attack.
Nice try. Yeah, nice. That was good. Your lurker usage was nice.
We hope this out.
I would say I really would have loved you to focus fire at the Nexus there, though, a little bit. But, what army would you recommend? I just said it. 8 lurkers, and then Hydras, if you're going to go lurkers. And then get spores. Static D.
Our army be scrapped.
You're just not spreading creep at all.
Evolution.
Honestly, don't go Corruptor Viper. That's advanced. This is Diamond League. Don't even bother. Do more A-move shit. Do shit that's easier to do. And spreading your creep is not hard. It just takes time to do it. It just takes attention to detail to spread creep. It takes remembering to do it, not just tunnel visioning attacks. And then put spores on it. You don't gotta micro them once. They just fucking sit there and do their own thing. Put lurkers behind spores. You don't have to micro them at all. And Templars can't engage your Hydras because spore crawlers detect Templar in a mothership if they get in range of the spore crawler, which is as long as the lurkers are going to attack them for. And then lurkers slam out the Templar as they try to engage to storm you. They die super early. They can't just cloak up to you and storm you. And then the spore crawlers are also taking the interceptors for you, and your Hydras are behind, just slapping down the fucking interceptors off of spore crawlers. It's so fucking easy to do that. The hardest part is actually spreading your creep, which is why I said your creep spread's terrible, because you just don't ever do it. You literally go like 5 minutes at a time without even spreading creep.
Mineral field depleted.
You don't need to put a bunch of spore outside your, or a bunch of spore colors outside your bases. You can do it aggressively when you push an area with creep. And if you make spores, don't forget, you need to keep a good drone count. Your drone count right now is actually really nice. But it took you forever to get there. Notice that every time you fight this shit, you're letting him cloak into you. This is not ideal. He's gonna storm the fuck out of you again. See? That's his, you're just gonna lose the fight every time this happens. So that was definitely not worth it. The first one, also, I would say the first fight you had was also not worth it. But because your army composition sucked ass. But at least you made the most of it. And you killed a lot of probes here, and you almost killed it. You should have killed the Nexus, but you didn't focus fire it at the end there. But yeah. The first one was still not really worth it, but it was like, there was some argument to be said that it was somewhat worth it for you. But now the problem is you're not really denying expansions. Protoss just keeps expanding. He's making a lot of money, and you keep throwing away large ass armies, and you're like literally just taking all your money, dropping it in the toilet, and then flushing the fucking toilet. Protoss. Jesus Christ. Just move your mothership a little bit to the right and nothing would die.
We evolved. Stuff got better. The minerals have up and gone.
Keep starting that creep. No spec and creep. There we go. There we go.
Mineral field depleted.
Spread that creep.
Minerals. Evolution.
See, like right now, it's crazy, right? But you should be spreading creep again right now. You just started this tumor right here, right? You just started this tumor up on the top. But let's look at the bottom tumors. They're like already ready to go again in the next like 2 seconds. Spread creep again right now.
Mineral field.
Like you just don't do it enough. You definitely don't spread creep enough.
Mutation complete.
And now you're letting him take like another base. I love the fact that your creep is here now, but imagine if you pounced on this base right now and you broke it, and then creep took it over, and then spores got planted here, and you shoved spores forward, or something like that. The Protoss you would starve his ass out then. This guy is not even trying to deny your creep spread. It's actually hard to spread creep against Protosses who actually actively try to stop your creep. This guy hasn't done it once. He's just turtling the entire game. It would be so easy to abuse creep on this guy.
Mineral. Our drones are under attack. Your forces are under attack. The minerals have up and gone.
Okay, so your ultras ideally would have been good a lot earlier, but you made 19-minute ultras. Okay? You made 19-minute ultras. This is fucking really late. You should have had these. If you wanted to go Ultra Hydra against this, because he had AoE, you should have had Ultra Hydra like this composition. No queens in it, by the way. These queens are going to do fucking nothing because your creep spread's terrible. The only reason why queens would ever be acceptable here is if your creep was actually like that everywhere to the edges of his base all over the place. Then queens would be okay. But your queens are going to just be late as fuck and they're going to block half your Hydras. Like this. And you can't even get it, and then when you want to run away, they're gonna block you again. You're gonna be like, oh fuck, retreat! Queens, get the fuck out of my way! Move, Brenda! You're fucking blocking me! Not a good fight, right? But, yeah, queens shouldn't be in this fight for you because your creep isn't very good in this situation. But you should have had the Ultralisk Hydra army that you had at 19 minutes. You should have had that shit at like 12 minutes. Seriously. Like 12 minutes. And why did you not have it? Because you fucking played this game like you were all in the mid game for like a solid like 8 minutes on like 60 drones with Hydraling. And you droned like 9 drones and you kept going Hydraling, couple lurkers, and then you went for lurker all-ins. Like, you don't need to do that shit at all. You need better creep spread as well.
more gas with this.
You're gonna die though,
Exhausted.
because at this point, the Protoss has gotten to this point right now. This army right here. This army's pretty fucking strong, and he's also making immortals. That's pretty smart that he's doing that because it helps protect the Templar from the Ultralisk. So the fact that he's adding in some immortals now is intelligent by the Protoss. What you would need to be able to do right now, honestly, is you need to do one of two things. Defensively absorb his attack with static D, or use spellcasters. You don't have to do both. If you did do both, that would be really good. I'm not even recommending you do the second option because it's really hard to do spellcasters if you're Diamond League, honestly. If you're really confident, though, if you think you can, then that's fine. But I would say it's not even what you should be focusing on first. What you should be doing is you should be going for static D with creep spread pushes, and then you should force the Protoss to react to you by counterattacking his base with Ultra Ling, and as soon as you realize he's going DTs, counterattack his base with Ling Bane. Don't use Ultras anymore. Because if you had Banelings and Zerglings, like let's say you had 30 Banes and 50 Lings here, or like 40 Lings and 30 Banes, you roll your Banes in, wipe out some cannons with like 6 Banes, and then wipe out a probe line with a bunch of Banes, and then you could even target fire the Nexus while you're killing probes. Like you could go to the middle line side of the probes, and then it blows up the Nexus and also the probes. And then your Lings can kill off the Remnants. And DTs are going to struggle to kill all the Lings as well really fast. And then if you starve him out, good shit. Work his bases down with Lings. If he's got, this here, Banelings blow up the doorway, Lings flood in, kill all of his Stargates, kill his production. He warps in DTs, big fucking deal. Send an Overseer with your Lings. Banelings can kill DTs because they're light. And if he warps into Archons, Zerglings can kill Archons as they're warping in because they take like 9 seconds. Like, you could easily fuck this guy over with Ling Bane counters and stalemate the game out defensively with Spore Crawlers and your army behind it. And let him engage you and then defend your static D with creep.
No more gas with this one.
And then you could also even make a couple Viper and like abduct him. Like I said, if you wanted to use spellcasters, every time he tries to engage, he engages in the static D. You abduct him through the static D into your Hydras, and then you just wait. Don't fully engage it, just literally wait. Because you're killing his bases over time with Ling Bane or Ling Ultra. Ling Ultra is better, honestly, because you don't have to make so much gas in the Banes. But Ling Bane's better once he's using DTs. And you can even manually detonate Banes on DTs. Could you please say a number estimation for static D to absorb his attacks? Probably like 20 spores. 15, 20 spores. It doesn't have to be perfect either, where it's like everything's in an exact line. It'd be like spore, 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 spore. You keep pushing Skytoss off creep, and that's terrible. It's really not good to push Skytoss. You don't ever want to push Skytoss. The only time you want to push Skytoss is when Skytoss isn't actually max supply. The only time you push Skytoss when it is max supply is when you have static D and you're shoving fucking static D in his face. And he has to react to it, otherwise he's going to lose a base. Because you're the one pushing creep, not your army. You're forcing him to defensively react to what you're doing. So even though you're actually pushing him with creep, you're actually defending your creep. Pushing in the middle of nowhere like this only increases the chances you're going to die dramatically. Like literally 90% plus. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this helps you. I have lots of Skytoss videos as well that I've coached and done replay analysis for. If you want more examples of Skytoss, especially people in Diamond or whatever, I have a lot of them that are really useful to watch as well. I would highly recommend going and checking them out because I don't talk about everything exactly the same every time. So, because it's depending on what like the people are running into and their examples. But if you want to check out more of those, I definitely have more of those. But thank you very much for doing this, Snake Man. I hope it helps you, dude. I hope I wasn't too hard on you. Appreciate you, man. And anyone else out there,
I hope you learned something as well from this. I hope this was very analytical for you, that you found some information from this that you need. But thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever it might be. Good luck in your own games. Remember, try to spread creep. It's so important. It's super, super, super important to have good creep spread as Zerg. Like, the better your creep is, the stronger Zerg you're going to be. It gives you so much more option as a player. And once you actually start to have good creep spread, like really good creep spread, once it's not like you think it's good, but it's actually really good. Like, once you make your opponent feel threatened by your creep, I don't think you did it once this game, but once you get to a point where your opponent feels genuinely threatened by your creep, the game feels so much more balanced for Zerg, where you have control of the game. Like, it feels so much better for Zerg when you can accomplish that. So work on that. It's a big thing you can work on, and it helps a lot. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Good luck, and peace.